What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Sun Belt Syndicate, the Belt Baseball Beginners Podcast. Although we have someone who's obviously not a beginner with us tonight, which is a good thing because he's going to teach us some things along the way. We'd like to welcome our first ever guest, Austin St. Laurent from App State Baseball. I already screwed up. Austin, thank you very much for being with us tonight and jumping on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. And just before we get going, we are presented by W Energy. Go check them out and use SB Syndicate at checkout. Give us a little affiliate link and sponsorship plug there. We are also part of the Dogs Media Network, part of collegefootballdogs.com. We're doing a ton of NFL draft coverage, so be sure to check out the website for a lot of information coming your way as far as that goes. Seth, Marv, I know you're excited for our guest tonight. Austin is a 2022 Sun Belt Freshman of the Year and also Player of the Year, right? For collegiate baseball in 22 as well.
I was a freshman All-American.
That's what it was. Yeah. Well, he collected both things in the same year, so extremely impressive to see that for sure. Seth, you want to start us off with the first question for Austin tonight?
Austin, I was just when I was thinking about some questions for you today, I was just wondering what series are you looking forward to the most this year in the Sun Belt?
There's a few. The fact that I couldn't play against Coastal last year, I'm really looking forward to playing them this year, but I think we sparked something up with Troy as of last year. So really looking forward for them to come up on the mountain and figure out what it's about.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you guys go to Louisiana this year, or do they come here?
No, we don't. They come here.
Okay.
We played there last year.
How was that atmosphere?
Yeah, there you go.
It was electric. Yeah, I mean, either you hit a ball or they hit a ball, and you can't hear yourself think out there. I played center there last year, and I'm glad I wasn't in the infield there. So,
yeah, I hear they rib people pretty good at that ballpark.
Oh yeah, definitely not PG. Don't bring your kids there.
I do hear that they treat their opponents very well afterwards. Is that true? They do like a big country boil and let both teams just get out there and grab a plate kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. They absolutely let you have it during the game, and then they're like your best friends after. They greet you nice, give you a nice big plate of food, and it's actually called the Cajun Cooking Club. Nice. So every team that comes through, they feed them Friday, Saturday, Sunday, some really good stuff. I got some pictures on my phone for memory.
Nice. Marv?
So you're from the Triangle, right? Went to high school in the Triangle. Went to East Carolina out of high school. What kind of brought you to Boone? How'd you find App State?
So out of high school, I went to ECU. Didn't get the opportunities that I was looking for there. Played for the Disco Turkeys that following summer, and lucky enough, I was able to come up and play in Boone in front of our guys. And I heard it the other day, but I'm going to steal it from somebody. God finds a way to get you on the mountain. So for me, I figured that was him showing me where home was. And since then, loved it here since the first day I stepped on campus.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Were you playing against the Bigfoots? Is that when you were up here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have to bring this up because one of the summer league teams you were on, the Burlington Sock Puppets, which is actually closer to. I guess I should ask this: do you consider Elon or Burlington like your hometown, or?
So, I claim Elon, but I'm from Burlington.
Gotcha.
So, luckily enough, that summer I got to collect per diem and live at home. So, yeah, it's like 8 minutes from my house.
Nice.
So, Yeah, it
Was
was
there thought or consideration to play for Elon, or was there a look there or anything?
well, I know I'm really good friends with the coach's son. So I feel like that's kind of a conflict of interest for some people. So they didn't even, he kind of went over it one day and I was like, yeah. And then that was it. So a little too
Gotcha.
close to home for me.
Yeah. Do you have one of these jerseys you guys get to keep? Do you have to return these things in the off season? How's that work?
Depending on who's tuned in right now, I may or may not have.
I think you're good,
Yeah,
buddy.
that thing
Don't
is
worry.
sweet. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I definitely have one in the trunk of my car right now.
nice. I can see why, man. As soon as I saw the name, and I was like, I got to see what this jersey looks like, and I was not disappointed when I brought it up. So that's why I wanted everybody that's watching to see this tonight. I know there's some people on the audio version that'll listen later. You got to go look this jersey up if you haven't seen it. Even the logo itself is phenomenal. So yeah, a great one for sure.
Absolutely.
I know you also. I saw that you were from New Hampshire, and like I said before we started the show, I had a feeling with the last name that we might have a guy who played a little hockey growing up, and you can confirm now that you did have some hockey in your past, correct?
Absolutely. So growing up for a long time up there, a lot of different activities go on, ice fishing. We even got to the point where my parents built us a rink in the backyard, and luckily for 6 months it stays frozen, so you get a lot of time on skates out there. But moved here when I was a little younger, so I never got into like a team wise. But me, my brother, and some of our friends, we'd rip it out there in the backyard.
Nice. When was the last time you shot a puck?
Years. Last time
Oh,
I was on
wow.
skates was a lot more recent.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, is it funny to you? And because Seth and I actually long ago when I lived in Boone still got on skates and skated up at like Apski Mountain on that tiny little slab they've got up there. But is it funny to you that you go to a place like Boone and App State up in the mountains and there's like no ice rink at all?
yeah, it threw me off a little bit, considering I had to Google search where the closest ice rink was, and just coming from a place where you just go hop out on a body of water.
Yeah. Yeah. It never really made sense to me. I mean, it's nice that they've got those few small slabs to kind of let people just skate around on, but it just seems like a place that's made for hockey because it's, it feels like, obviously you've been there long enough. Boone feels like an up north town after a while. You realize how different it feels when you just go an hour south off the mountain, that it's a different world. So yeah, I just always thought that was kind of interesting, but very cool. I'm a big hockey guy. Real quick before I let one of these other guys ask another question, do you have a favorite pro team?
In hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bruins. I'm a all Boston guy. So
We haven't converted you to the Canes. You were close when you were here in Elon. No.
no, can't do it.
Gotcha. Seth, Marv, you got another question for him?
Yeah, I'll switch to baseball. So in our first podcast, we were kind of talking about the strength of the Sun Belt, kind of maybe a little bit overlooked. One of only 4 conferences, I think, last year that got 5 teams into a regional. One made it to a super regional. Can you just kind of speak to the level of talent that we have here in the Sun Belt and how it might be overlooked?
Yeah, so coming in, I haven't played a game of college baseball, but I was able to watch a lot of it and watch the kind of competition that my previous institution was playing. And I step in and it's a whole different ballgame. I just feel like you take some of these teams and go put them against some Power Fives, and you might see a little different reaction. But yeah, I feel like it's overlooked a lot, and the talent and the guys that you face on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are they're the real deal. There was a couple times that we've seen upper nines on the mound, and you got dudes hitting in the 360 area. We had a guy on our team, CJ. He hit 360 with 17 homers, and yeah, that's hard to do against the arms that we have. And I mean, teams like Coastal, they've won College World Series before. Like, there's a lot of these teams that are ready to go out and compete with these quote unquote high profile teams. So
Yeah.
To
I know
piggyback
that
off that a
Marv.
little bit,
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, obviously every team's goal is a conference championship. What about this team? I mean, assuming that's the goal, is that right for this team this year?
yeah. I mean, we got a bunch of guys that we picked up through the portal that are already showing out a little bit, and just being able to spend a whole preseason with them. No hate on the teams before, but they're not these dudes.
Right.
These dudes are coming out looking to play, and I like the little chip they got on their shoulder too. A couple guys that got overlooked at their institutions, ready to come out and make a name for themselves, even if they're 24 years old. So
I want to ask one more
Dominick's
question.
half that or double that age.
Hey.
Well, you mentioned the portal, so obviously you see what the portal does to college football. How are you seeing the impact? You mentioned we got a couple studs that maybe got overlooked coming here. Got something to prove. How do you see the portal kind of impacting college baseball right now?
I feel like it's a really good thing for teams that aren't in your Power Five conversation. Like some of your smaller schools you'll start seeing probably less freshmen and more older guys, which I hate it for the guys coming out of high school. But I mean, I feel like you're going to start seeing a lot of teams with a lot of veterans and guys coming out of high school. That might be good or bad. Bad for playing time, but good for development. At least for me, that's how it worked. I left and I came to a squad full of vets, and they kind of took me under their wing and showed me the ropes. So,
How long did you have to buy your time for, Austin?
how long do I have to what?
How long did you have to buy your time for? How long did you have to wait for?
Oh, well, I took a full year at ECU, and then I ended up redshirting, and then I came here and pretty much just jumped right into the mix.
Good deal.
So,
Yeah. Freshman of the year will do that, right?
Yeah.
luckily, that's how it worked out. A couple drag buns here and there.
So I have to ask you, I'm wearing the local Lions shirt tonight. I decided against an App State one. You're from the New Hampshire area, Boston kind of guy. Dunkin' Donuts is strong up there. You got Krispy Kreme down here. You got the local place and local Lion. What's if you had to choose one of the three, where are you going?
Everybody runs on Dunkin'. But all right, I grew up with a household of Dunkin' fans. But the fact that I can pretty much reach out of this window and touch the local Lion, pretty good for when I go to the gas station, just pop over there and get a donut. So I'm not a big coffee guy, but I'm a huge donut guy. So
Yeah.
it's perfect.
Nice. You're in the complex kind of across the street there then?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So not directly across the street, but a little down the road.
Okay. Well, that one did not exist when Marv and I were living up in Boone. Obviously, Seth's still in the area, but man, driving back and seeing that monstrous thing on one side is just a sight to behold.
That was they were cheap rundown hotels there back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Places
Someone burned it down, right?
I think was Scottish Inn or something like that. It burnt down. They weren't nice places. What they built there was significantly better.
Yes. Yeah.
Austin, I got a question for you. We all have kids that enjoy sports. Like, what would you tell any youngster that's want to be a college baseball player one day? What would some advice to them be?
I think the best advice that I've ever gotten was actually while I was here, and credit to Coach Jay for kind of putting it in perspective for me. But if I could go back and talk to either myself or a young kid, it's just continued to play with joy. You don't go out there and it's really a lot of pressure when you're out there as a college athlete and coming into it, trying to get picked up by colleges. But I feel like for me, the best thing was when I played with joy and I played free. I was able to really excel and not base my day off the results or base my day off whether I go 4 for 4 or 0 for 4. Just being able to enjoy the fact that God gave me the ability to be out here, so why not enjoy it while I still can?
Absolutely.
Great way to look at it.
Yeah, I told my son we were going to ask you that question tonight, so he's pretty excited to hear that answer tomorrow morning. Got one more question for you. Favorite baseball moment that you've had from youth to now? What's like the most exciting game you played in, or like the best overall feeling you've ever had?
I think the best overall feeling was
minus being on this podcast.
That's where I was going. I'm glad that you stopped there. Yeah, glad we got that one. So number 2 on the list would definitely have to be one of our games in the conference tournament this past year, and it was kind of my last go with these guys that I came in with all of them, and luckily one of them's our coach now. But it was our last kind of ride together, and I just came off of surgery, and they pretty much told me that my season was over, but I was able to come back for the conference tournament, and we were able to send Troy home that game. So just being able to hop on the bus and see all those guys and get the last picture of that enthusiasm before they left. That was I'm glad I got to share that moment with those guys. So
that camaraderie from the team.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I remember watching that game. It was, the back and forth nature of it, and like the long runs too. It wasn't just like 1 or 2 runs here or there back and forth. It was like looked like somebody was outpacing the other, and then the other team would just storm. It was probably one of the, if not the best game of the actual tournament in my mind. So yeah, I know exactly which game you're talking about. It was definitely a great one to watch for those who didn't catch it. So yeah, let's jump into how you guys are doing so far this year. We'll put up y'all's scores and record essentially. So far, you guys start, and I guess you can speak to this too, Austin. You guys routinely start off the mountain for the first handful or slightly more than handful of games. Do you personally, and maybe the team as a whole, do you like that? Do you dislike that? Is it kind of just depend on where you're going? I guess, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think the other teams are soft. It's too cold up here for them. But for us, we train all year in the cold, and I just feel like that's kind of the reason we go off the mountain, get away from the cold a little bit. But yeah, personally, I don't mind walking into somebody's place and beating them. So just being able to go in week 1, take a series. Technically, we shouldn't even have lost that second game. We beat ourselves. We had a few mishaps here and there and just didn't find our way back. But you go up on Sunday, and best teams went on Sunday, and you put up 15 runs. So yeah, and then the game against High Point, it's kind of speaks for itself, hits here and there, and credit to our pitching staff. We had we had 3 guys that had, 2 of them had TJ, and one of them had a shoulder problem. But that's the first time that those guys have thrown in over a year, and they went out and did their thing. And then we had a vet in Trey Tuich come in and do what he does best and carve up some hitters. So that's how that game went.
Yeah, that was I remember, I think it was in the middle of that game, and I don't remember who was on the mound. The guy threw 5 pitches and had 3 guys out. Two pop-up, first pitch pop-ups, 2 outs. Then he struck the last guy out. 5 pitches total. It was incredible.
Tyler Tuthill, 200.
Okay, that was him. Okay.
265 days since his last competitive start.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. He lost all of last year to Tommy John, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. How big of is a boost of that to see, a guy that you've seen go through the process of rehab and come back and just kind of pick up where he left off.
Yeah, it's coach said it best in our post game, but when you have guys that go through something like that and you see them struggle mentally and just wanting to be there and win alongside their guys and not be able to for a full year, and then you see them come out and they kind of have that look in their eye like they already know what's going to happen, and then for him to be able to go in and execute the way he did, for me, that's my guy. So I always want to see him do well, and for him to go out there and do the things he did, that's just, I'm happy for him, and I know that he's pumped about it. I asked him how his arm felt today, and he said, fine. I only threw a handful of pitches. So
nice. Gotta love that. Do you so I like how this ice bath thing has exploded, and I know athletes have been on it a lot longer than the general public have. Is that something that you guys really, obviously on the mountain you could literally jump into duck pond and get the same effect probably, but is that something that you guys do routinely? Is it something you enjoy, you hate? Like, what is it for you?
Yeah, so a lot of our guys are cold shower guys. So they're morning cold shower guys. I can't do that. I'm not tough enough for a morning cold shower. But I personally, after every game, I'll ice bath. I'll do anywhere from 8 to 15 minutes in an ice bath after every game, or if we have like a long practice, get ready before a weekend, I'll hop in the ice bath. But I try to make that a routine for me. When I get out, I'm locked up for a little while, and then the next day I feel fresh. So
nice. Yeah. I guess I don't know if one of these guys thought about this, but this one just hit me because of where you guys play. So obviously with where Boone is and what the grass level is, you guys play on an artificial turf surface. Is that something that when you first started doing it was an adjustment? Had you played on a lot of them before, or is that something that just really, in the end here, once you get going, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't change much.
Yeah, for me growing up, I played on a few all turf fields, but I mean, at that point I was real young. My high school field was natural. My first school was natural. And then coming here, just everything's the same every day. You don't have to worry about tarp pull or anything else. You can show up rain or shine, and it's gonna be the same. You got to adjust to maybe the slickness of the turf when it rains. Balls are going to skip a little differently. You're going to slide a little bit more. But we always have one complaint up on the mountain, and it's that it's too perfect. So it's hard. It's hard to say anything bad about the prettiest field in America.
True.
For sure.
That's a great point. What's funny is it seemed to take a long time to get to that point, though. They didn't used to share those same pictures. I guess the drone, video and footage has really made that stuff explode where you can see it like that. Because I guess we have to be honest, when you're in the ball field or at the ballpark, you don't necessarily get to see all those trees in the background. I mean, you see some of them on the ridge, I guess, but the view that you see from the drone shot is just something else that is pretty breathtaking when you see, especially with the fall colors, which unfortunately you guys don't get to enjoy the explosion of that. Well, I guess you do. You're probably out there during that time of year, right?
Yeah. So it's really funny too, because we have a couple of freshmen that came in, and it's getting to the point where the leaves are starting to turn, and we actually got the chance to play our black and gold right when everything's in the full color. So dusk hits, and the sky is the color that you want it to be, hitting right off the trees the right way. And we have some of the guys that come and they get sped up a little bit, and when they just settle down and turn around and look around, they can settle in a little bit. So that's definitely one of their breathing points during that time of the year is just take it all in, because you don't get it for long, but while it's there, it's amazing.
Yeah, very true.
Well,
guys got any?
Yeah,
Go
real
ahead,
quick,
Marv.
just looking forward, we got the results from the first 4 games. Got Siena and Hickory this weekend. Anything you guys know about Siena? I mean, we can just kind of look at the stats. They started off 0-3. Anything you got to say about them?
Yeah. We've all, as a team here, we all have access to everything, every pitch that they've thrown this year, last year. So we got a lot of guys committed to watching film, and probably should be a little more focused on their academics. But can't blame them for wanting to get the upper hand. Good thing that everything's due on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, they definitely have stuff that we've seen before. So I don't think anything's going to catch us off guard.
Austin, in like a non-conference weekend like this, do you usually see a 1, 2, and 3 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or how does that usually work?
Yeah, guys will come out and throw their A arms. So we'll see their true Friday, Saturday, Sunday rotation.
Gotcha.
And just like us, they're going to get our Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But the good thing is ours are better. So they're going to throw their guys. We were able to do some research, and thankful to our staff, Coach Smith, Coach Jay. Big kudos to Mac for getting us that information and giving us our reports that we need to study up on and have a plan of attack for when Friday comes.
Nice. Speaking of playing in Hickory, you guys have played down there before, right?
Yeah, we opened the season there last year.
Yeah. So what do you think of? I grew up in Hickory. I don't think I mentioned that at the top. As weird as that is now to hear, because of where I've ended up. But growing up in Hickory, what is it like to play at the Crawdads Stadium?
I mean, it's hard. It's really hard to complain about that place too, just because of the atmosphere. And I think I like it more because of the pregame. Huge major league style locker room. And they're all circled around a center table, and you just throw the speaker up there, and you can get locked in with your guys, and then you go out, and the locker room opens up to the field, and they got the grandstands wrapping all the way around. So it's a really pretty scene, especially to open up at a place like that, and them giving us the opportunity to play there.
Pretty sweet. Who's the DJ? Who's the locker room DJ?
I am.
Nice. You got a good mix? Are you heavy something specific genre wise or what?
Oh, I just look around and see what the guys are feeling. One day it might be 80s rap, might be some EDM, a little bit of Green Day thrown in there here and there. We're a big brain stew team, so we like to start the day off with a little bit of Green Day and then see where it takes us.
I noticed you didn't say country, which probably offended Seth a little bit. So is your team not a big country team or what?
Yeah, we'll throw some Chris Stapleton in there.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little Eric Church or
you got to go Luke Combs if you're going country.
Yeah, Luke Combs. There you go.
Oh, Luke Combs in the mix. If we're going country, absolutely.
There we go. All right. Marv, you got anything left for Austin here?
No, I'm all good, man. Really appreciate you coming on and giving us some insight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We're going to go move on to talk about the teams that matter less than you guys, all right?
Yeah, I should probably hop off here before I start saying things I shouldn't.
We'll have
Austin,
a separate podcast.
Man, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing this, and let's get wings one night, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's do it. Thank you guys for having me.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you.
All right. See you, man. All right, man. That was awesome. I'm glad Seth found him when he was eating some wings so that we could
listen, man. I'll talk to anybody, anywhere.
I'm surprised you weren't at Porto Nueve and found somebody, you know?
Well, that could be next week. Could be next week.
Hey, we don't call you the mayor of Boone for nothing, Seth, okay?
No, whoa. Fosco. Let's not.
Fosco, yeah.
Not Boone. We can't do Boone.
Okay.
It's
mayor of Fosco.
It's a non-electoral, non-paid position, but Seth holds it very well.
Boys, we're going on 30 minutes, and we hadn't even started yet.
Yeah, let's run through some of these.
We got the best part. We got the best part in, man. That's what everybody cared about. They don't really care about us much.
That was good. I appreciate Austin a lot.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, you're right though, Dom. If people tuned in last week, they're probably tuning out now because they've already got the good part and don't want to hear us ramble about stuff we don't know about.
Right. No, but I guess so. So Austin talked about this. We had a little bit of thoughts. Anybody got anything left before we move on from what App State has started off with? Was a surprise about where you thought? I mean, anything quick wise?
It's disappointing that they weren't on. The opening series was not on ESPN Plus. You couldn't watch it. Keeping up with it on like a live game stat thing just doesn't kind of do it justice. I will say that I noticed we walked 10 batters in our first game and still won. That typically doesn't happen in baseball. And then the Sunday game was a back and forth. We got down big early, came back. They tied it in the ninth, and then we blew it up in the 10th. So, happy to see them get started and hope they can keep it rolling this weekend.
Yeah, and I think that I know Seth was the one who let me know that the High Point game was on kind of earlier. Now you're back in the work week. All of us are trying to get some stuff done, and some of these early games catch you off guard sometimes. But I'm glad I got to tune into that one because the bats came alive early in that one, and then they held on defensively, like Austin was mentioning. The pitching was phenomenal to only allow one run. I mean, that did happen to be a home run, but that was really all High Point got. They didn't. I think they threatened one other time with bases loaded, and again, pitching got them out of that jam and won that one 7-1. So yeah, I mean, Seth, I don't know. What do you think? This doesn't shock me in a good or bad way. I think it's kind of expected. You play your first 4 games on the road. It's not shocking to drop one or somewhere, right?
No, not at all. I mean, I think you take that all day. And like Austin was saying, could easily be 4-0, should be 4-0. Yeah. But like we talked about last week, playing on an App State team, you're not playing a true home game until probably early April. So, a hot start and then just traveling down the road this weekend against a Ophir team, hopefully to keep things rolling.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
As we get into these other teams, I think it's time for me and Marv to eat a little bit of crow, though.
Yeah, well, you can do that right now on this team.
I think if we're going alphabetical order, there's and so this isn't updated. So Arkansas State off to a 5-0 start, goes to Ole Miss, wins 4-2 tonight. I mean, I don't know how good Ole Miss is, but the SEC's won 4 out of the last 6 national championships.
They won the Natty 2 years ago. So
yeah,
they got some talent.
Yeah, they do. And so for the coaches to pick Arkansas State to be the worst team in the conference and to be the first team to go 5-0 in the conference, I'll eat a little bit of crow, and the coaches can have a side dish of it as well.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking now. I will say this: Omaha and Arkansas Pine Bluff, they're not blowing me away. So
win's a win, Dom.
Yeah, win's a win.
But I mean, you're not getting a ton of credit from me from being 4-0 in that. I mean, it's great that you win. It's not easy to do that, but these aren't the toughest competitions. But tonight, you've got to open up the eyes of people who thought that those first 4 games were unimpressive. Like you said, it doesn't matter if Ole Miss is great. You're not expected to win that game going in. And so they go in and do that and stay undefeated. And now 5-0, like you said, only team in the conference currently sitting there like that. So,
and they've got a team called Lindenwood, which I have no clue who that is or where they're from. That's 1-2 coming in.
You've never heard of Lindenwood, Marv?
Never heard of Lindenwood. No.
This is a beginner's baseball for sure.
But I think they're home this weekend, so they could go. They could potentially go 8-0 and be sitting at the top of the conference before we get to conference play. So, good for them.
Yeah. Pretty incredible start. Like you said, I don't really know what more there is to say. No one really saw that. I don't think Arkansas State fans saw that coming, to be quite honest with you. So good for them.
There's some Arkansas State fans somewhere. It's like, yeah, we knew it. Going to the regionals.
I've seen a couple already say they don't want to get their hopes up. Yeah. Well, they're buying tickets to Omaha, but it's for the return matchup versus Omaha, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Jumping into Coastal Carolina, check out that first score, 26-0 versus George Mason, who was a regional team from just last year. Now
it got better the next day for him too.
Yeah, George Mason got
Duke put who was it?
Duke put 23 on them the next day. They gave up 49 runs in their first 2 games.
Stay hot.
Yeah. They must have lost a lot. At least I'm hoping that they lost a lot because
Hey, that's the way the portal works, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And Coastal came alive there, but now we've got to look at these next two games. Dropping a 5-3 decision to Duke, that's not surprising. Duke's a highly rated and ranked team coming into the season. That's not going to be easy. Were either of you surprised by the Indiana outcome?
I believe Indiana was a regional team last year too, weren't they?
Off the top of my head, I want to say no, but
Okay.
I'd have to look that up.
If I'm not mistaken, so this was a tournament, and we kind of didn't know that they were playing in a tournament. Indiana lost handily to Duke in the first game. So to pop on and find out that Coastal, who just put up 26 runs, only scores 2 and gets beat by a team that I think Duke handily beat. I was a little shocked.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised by the Indiana one, and I am trying to pull up to see if they were a regional team from last year. I just don't remember.
Yeah, but it's baseball.
Hard to remember them all, but
you may throw 4 or 5 arms, within the first 6 innings. So, like we talked about last week, these early, there's not a lot of surprises so far. Well, JMU took one from Arkansas, correct?
Yeah, and then JMU beat Virginia Tech tonight. We'll get to that.
Tech, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Coastal losing to Indiana, I don't see necessarily a huge surprise, but more a lower Sunbelt, predicted team knocking off a number 3 ranked team. I would consider that, yeah, a major upset, but not Indiana taking Coastal. Nah.
I tend to agree with you a little bit more now, Seth. You are correct. They were a regional team last year who took care of West Virginia. They beat Kentucky, and then they lost to Kentucky the next 2 games to be out of the regional, but they took Kentucky to the brink there. So you are correct. I was mistaken. Indiana, a regional team from last year. So yeah, once you look at it like that loss and the Duke loss, not so bad. I mean, they didn't get crushed in either one of those games either. So, and then they recovered with that UNCW victory. So I think UNCW, do you guys know historically, they're pretty decent in baseball, are they not?
Historically, I think decent. They're no ECU, but they're decent.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they're obviously a football school, so everything else is secondary.
Yeah.
I heard they play Charleston next year.
Yeah, they're undefeated, man.
That's my running dad joke. So
yeah, but before we go to that side, so coming up this weekend, Coastal's hosting another tournament.
Yes.
We've got Illinois, Ball State, and Cincinnati coming to the house. So a lot of these Midwest teams coming down to get a little warm. I would say beach weather, but we all know Coastal's not at the beach.
It's true. It's a scam. They're close.
It's Conway.
There you go. Illinois was in the Big Ten baseball tournament. I just scrolled past this. That's why I'm bringing it up. So Illinois and Indiana, you would think Indiana's the better team. They were last year. They are likely to be this year from what I can ascertain from what I've just scrolled through quickly. Again, this is the Baseball Beginners podcast, so we don't know all the background, but I would assume that they could and hopefully should get a 3-game sweep of, again, not the same opponent, but all 3 teams here this week to maybe recover and get themselves back up in good standing. I think they probably fell just slightly in the rankings after these 2 straight losses this past week before getting that UNCW victory. All right. Everyone's favorite team on this show, Georgia Southern Eagles. Come on, guys. You're supposed to get excited and woo, No? Okay.
Nothing.
They took on
It's not the same.
They took on Maryland in their first series, and I think this is one that Marv, you had Maryland winning 3-0, right?
Yep.
I had Georgia Southern surprising them and taking it 2-1, but Seth came out on top in this one, and he called this one exactly how it went. Maryland 2-1 over Georgia Southern. So Georgia Southern does get one there at home in the last game on Sunday, and then plays pretty close to Georgia Tech there on Tuesday night, only losing 7-4. Thoughts on Georgia Southern's start so far?
Mediocre response. I mean, like we talked about last week, the first month of this is just going to be kind of everybody filling themselves out just because Arkansas State's 4-0. You know, I've been a Braves fan all my life. I've seen the Braves go 10-2, and then they can lose 100 games in a season. So I mean, I don't think. I mean, time will tell. You know, there's not a lot for me to say, at least.
Yeah.
I got to watch some of their games. Georgia Southern's got some dudes. They looked pretty good. You know, Maryland was a regional team last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they were.
So I was somewhat impressed. Hate to say that out loud, but yeah, I thought they held their own. I think they got Mississippi State this weekend, so another chance to take on a Power 5 school and kind of see what you got.
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely not what looks like an easy schedule for Southern to start off the year. I mean, like you said, you got a regional team in Maryland. You got Georgia Tech, who's pretty good in baseball as well. And like you just said, another Power 5. I guess, we don't really have the Power 5 moniker, but everyone knows what we're talking about when we say that for baseball too.
I mean, once again, SEC school. SEC is kind of, the conference in baseball as of late. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think they're the conference in baseball all the time, right? I mean, I guess the ACC can challenge a little bit here and there, but now Wake Forest has suffered a loss, so now we'll see where they go. Georgia State took on New Orleans and comes up with only one victory out of that, and then gets hammered by the Georgia Bulldogs 15-0. This is a team, I think, was this the team that they had? I guess the coaches had dropping down a little bit in the rankings preseason wise. Was that correct, Marv?
So Georgia State preseason coaches had them at 11.
Yeah. And I think they finished like 8 or 9 in the end of the standings last season, I believe.
You're probably right.
I believe so.
They knew something we didn't, which is that they probably lost some guys.
Yeah, and listen, I think we talked about it last week. New Orleans, you just look at them last year, they won 36 baseball games. So they were playing in New Orleans, kind of expected, a 1-2 record. So yeah, nothing surprising here to me.
Yeah, not surprising to me either. I caught none of this series. I was in the woods camping all weekend, as you guys know, but I did watch a number of games with New Orleans in it last year. They obviously with where they're located, they're perfect for some oddball weekday games for a lot of the Southern and Western side teams in the Sun Belt. So I saw some one-off games, and I wasn't blown away with the talent, but I definitely wasn't disappointed. I mean, they were a very formidable team. You got to come prepared to win a game there and give your best effort. You're not going to walk in there and throw your fourth best pitcher and hit okay and win. So
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that New Orleans takes this one. You'd like to see a better result than 15-0 blanking of by the Bulldogs there, especially if you've got any desire to consider yourself one of the better teams in the state. That's obviously not going to be a topic of conversation anytime soon down there in the greater Atlanta area. But who do they have before we move on? Who do they have this weekend?
Seton Hall this weekend. Seton Hall went 2-1. I think Seton Hall was playing their midweek game today. Not sure of the result. So maybe they get it on the right track. Maybe they don't.
Yeah, hopefully. I don't know. Seton Hall doesn't sound like a team that I recognize from being all over the place for baseball in the past. So
No, me either.
I definitely think baseball or basketball when I hear them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, Seth, you led in with this one early, so let's hear what your thoughts are on James Madison so far this year. Are they an everything school?
Like I said earlier in the year, that the athletic director maybe JMU maybe find a new athletic director before too long. But they've got some, like Marv was talking about earlier, Virginia Tech tonight and then Arkansas last week. Definitely not just your average win. So I believe last week when we picked some teams, I believe JMU, we kind of expected them to be at middle of the pack or below. So yeah, definitely a good first week for them.
Yeah. Marv, thoughts on the Dukes?
You look at the scores. I mean, Arkansas's third-ranked team in the country, or somewhere around there. The second game was a little out of hand, but everything else 6-4, 7-3, 4-0. They were competitive. Then had Virginia Tech come to their place today, and they walked it off in the bottom of the ninth in a game that Virginia Tech had to come back pretty big to even be in the game. So I'm impressed by what I've seen from them. They definitely didn't look overmatched against Arkansas.
Yeah. No, it's crazy to think that, because I think, from what I've seen, Arkansas is a heavy favorite to get at least to the College World Series there in Omaha and possibly even win it, one of the favorites to win it. So, like you said, to even be close in some of these games against a team that's thought of that highly is very impressive. So it'll be interesting to see what James Madison can do as they continue on. Who do they?
They've got the juggernaut 0-3 Fairfield College coming in this weekend.
Be tough.
Tough. I think we should make that one of our picks of the week.
There you go. I think we might all have the same results there, but maybe not. Speaking of results, Louisiana came out with some of them against Wright State. Once again, another regional opponent from last season. They come out 2-1. They got a little surprised there on Saturday with a 7-6 victory for the Wright State team. But from what I hear, again, I didn't get to see any of these. From what I read and hear, that sounded kind of like that Gardner-Webb game that App dropped a little bit. Like, probably should have won that one. But, then they bounce back and get the series victory overall, and then beat to the in-state opponent in McNeese State there slightly after that with that 11-3 victory. This is another series that we picked, guys. Yep. I picked incorrectly. I thought the Cajuns would sweep this one.
I can't remember what I picked, but seeing what I see here, like Seth said, early in the season, kind of a crapshoot sometimes, trying to figure some things out. Looks about 3-1 right now is probably right where we would expect them to be.
Yeah. What do you think, Seth? You're probably right where you thought they'd be?
Yeah, 3-1 right in there. It's going to take 10, 15 games. So
yeah. I think you guys both took, and we have this graphic as the last one we'll go over, but I think you guys both took Louisiana 2-1. I think you guys both got this series right. So I can tell you I got 0 right. I gave myself 0 points this past week. So
I give Seth 2 already. We'll never hear the end of it.
Yeah. Oh, the Cajuns. Who do they have this weekend, Marv? Sorry, before we.
Rice. They have Rice coming. Actually, I'm not sure if it's home or away, but Rice is 1-3 on the season so far. So
interesting.
Yeah,
I think Rice is usually a pretty decent team too. So it's interesting that I'm not sure who they started with. I don't know if you know that, but
I have no clue. I'd have to look it back up.
I would think even with a 1-3 record, Rice isn't a team you just walk in and beat easily. So we'll see how that one goes. ULM kind of off to the start that, I don't know, maybe we kind of once again kind of thought of. I mean, this was yet another team that didn't finish anywhere near the top of the Sun Belt last year and wasn't expected to get real high up there this year either. So they start off about mid, 500 level here with 2 losses and 2 wins. Again, expected.
Yeah, I mean, coaches picked them to be second from the last. They're probably pretty happy to avoid being swept at home in their opening weekend. Once again, don't know much about them. You kind of got to rely on the coaches, even though they might have screwed up on Arkansas State. Who knows? Maybe Arkansas State comes back to reality. But 2-2 on the season, probably where they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the Grambling in 7 innings isn't a surprise. I don't think Grambling's known for their baseball. Marv, you got who they have this weekend?
Yeah, they got Murray State coming this weekend. Murray State's off to a 0-3 start.
Okay. So once again, another basketball school, huh?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, also 2 basketball schools here compared to the baseball aspect. Well, actually, I don't know. Seth, Marv, you guys know much about College of Charleston as far as baseball is concerned?
From the old Southern Conference days when I played against them, I think they were typically a pretty solid baseball program.
Yeah, good ball team down there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was incorrect. But Marshall is, like, as I said, got a new stadium and they're not playing any of these games in it, obviously. but they did have a 4-game set down there, and they dropped every single one of them.
Yeah.
So probably not moving out of the basement anytime soon. What do you guys think? Marv, who they got this week?
So just real quick, College Charleston won 35 games last year.
Okay.
So Marshall starts off as the only Sun Belt team not to have a win. They're playing a tournament style thing this weekend. So they actually have Michigan State and Indiana State. They're going to play both of them twice.
Okay.
So I would assume Michigan State's a decent baseball team. Indiana State don't have a clue. Man, I'm sure they would love to get a win or two out of this weekend and not start off 0-8.
Yeah. Let's hope so, because I don't know if either of those teams are going to be teams that they'll beat, to be honest with you, but I guess we'll see. I know Indiana State's doing well in basketball this year. Have you seen that? That they kind of came out.
Yeah, they're ranked. Sycamores.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. All right. Old Dominion is up next. They had those hot bats last year hitting over 100 home runs. I know that they it looks like they did lose to Virginia 8-0 tonight. We saw that result. But they did take they took the series sweep from George Washington here. So that an impressive start before a tough opponent in Virginia. Is Virginia ranked, guys? One of you guys know?
I think they're 12 or 14.
Okay.
College baseball is weird. Like in football, you've got coaches and AP, and then you get the playoff rankings at some point. There's like 7 different ranking systems for college baseball, so it kind of varies on which one you look at.
Makes sense. Why would they make it easy, you know? Well, yeah, I mean, I guess just real quick, impressive start. You want to beat a team like George Washington, who wasn't very good. We did cover that in the first episode. Not great from last year. And again, going up against a ranked team, I don't think 8-0 is too bad of a result when you are facing a team that highly thought of, right?
No, not bad at all, man.
And they have Rutgers this weekend, Marv?
They do have Rutgers that weekend. I think that's going to be one of our weekend picks. Kind of intriguing because Rutgers is off to a 3-0 start. So, yeah, probably. I mean, like you said, great to get the sweep. Probably the result you would have expected going on the road to a really good baseball team. So I think this weekend's going to be a really good test for them.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Historically great program, but struggled last season. Expected to jump up in the rankings quite a bit. We got the South Alabama Jaguars up next. They take that first interstate great rivalry between the North and the South, just like the good old days. And they win that one 3-2 over North Alabama. Then they get the victory over Lamar and 2 victories over Southern Indiana. Impressed so far? Just kind of expected? I don't know. I don't really think these opponents are top-notch, I guess, is what I would assume here.
Yeah, some weaker competition. You're going to find out a lot about these teams when the conference starts, I believe. Some of these non-conference games will tell you a little bit, but it's just a sample size so far, so can't tell a lot.
Yeah, the coaches had them predicted to be 8 in our conference. Once again, maybe they're playing down. I don't know anything about any team that they played, but to get 4 wins to start the season, not a bad thing. They have Jacksonville State this weekend. Jacksonville State's off to a 2-2 start, maybe a little bit better competition than what they've seen. So we might be having a different conversation about them next week.
Yep. And another series that we'll be picking this week as well. Because I think that one that's a really good one. I think we'll have some different answers on that one. But all right. One of the top dogs from last season, the team that made it all the way to the Super Regionals, the Southern Miss Golden Eagles. They get surprised by Marist for at least one of their games in their opening series. I was shocked by that. I don't know if you guys found that quite as surprising or not, but what do you think about Southern Miss's start so far this year?
Yeah, you'd like to win. Having 2 wins going into Sunday, you'd like to get the sweep there at home. Little shocked. I don't know. Too early to tell. I still think Southern Miss is a really good team. I think they're the only team from our conference that made it to a super regional last year. So, yeah, I think they're still a good baseball team. You might have dropped one early in the season.
Yeah. I think like Marv said, the end of the year when all the smoke clears, I think this is going to be one of your top 2 or top 3 teams. It's just so hard to tell right now, but there's nothing wrong with one loss out of the weekend. So time will tell. I think like he said, at the end of the year, this will be one of the top dogs though.
Yeah, and I think their stud pitcher, who was preseason starting pitcher of the year, was Sunbelt player of the week, or one of the Sunbelt players of the week. I think he threw like 5 1/3, fanned 8, gave up a couple hits and maybe a run. So
he's not very good, is what you're saying.
Yeah, the guy probably should go play soccer or something like that.
Definitely.
They have Missouri State this weekend. Missouri State's off to a 3-1 start. So, see how that goes.
Yeah, well, Missouri State's 3-1 start is off of another Sun Belt team, as we just saw. So
yeah, true.
We'll have to see how much that plays in. But like you said, it's not easy to just go in there and win in baseball. So 3-1 start is still impressive.
Sure.
Yeah. Another team that was thought pretty highly of before coming into the season, as Texas State starts off pretty hot. Again, Youngstown State, not the greatest of opponents, but they did face another ranked team in TCU just last night. They only lose by 1 run, 6-5. I think this is a team that just barely had their number at least once, maybe twice last year. Maybe they split, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But what are your thoughts? You think Texas State can still be the threat that they sounded like they could be before the season started?
Yeah, for sure. They've got the bats. I'm not real sure Youngstown State had the pitching, but I think so. I think you know what I'm saying is it's hard to tell right now, but I think we're just kind of going through this. I think in 2 weeks when we get back together and we talk about this again, I think we'll know a little bit more about all this.
2 weeks? Yeah. What are you missing next week, Seth? Where are you going?
I mean, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same. I'm going to say the same thing next week probably. So it's going to be. Give me a couple weeks and we'll finally know who's where.
A greater resume. Yeah.
I think you're going to find out a lot about Texas State this weekend. So they're playing one of those tournament style things, and they have Kansas, Kentucky, and Washington State. So they've got some talent that they're going to play against. Just looking at those scores, I mean, probably expected against Youngstown. I did get to watch a little bit of their game against TCU last night. They were down big, came back, made a game out of it. TCU's a top 5 team in the country. I was impressed by what I saw. I think the coaches had them at 5th. I easily think they could be top 3 in the conference this year, depending on how things shake out. But interested to see how they do this weekend.
Yeah, definitely a tough slate. So I'm glad you mentioned all those games coming up for them. But like you said, they come out on top of that. They're going to be looking pretty good so far this year. Troy, as we talked about with Austin, a team that was pretty good in Sun Belt last year and took it kind of deep into the tournament before App State took care of them. Their bats were also alive this weekend, taken care of. Again, like we said, a little bit easier of opponent in Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville, right? Is that what we said that was?
I believe so.
Yeah, so a mouthful there. But Troy with a phenomenal start so far. They did drop 1 game to Suey, I think, as we know them as a short form. But I guess Troy looks like they're going to be right back up towards the top of this conference yet again after this start to me.
I think after week 1, like Troy, Coastal, Southern Miss, all the top dogs have kind of proven what we thought they were. Troy, it's gonna be a fun race for sure. App 4-1, Arkansas State. It's gonna be a fun year.
Yeah, for sure.
Talking about the hot bats, Dom. So Sunbelt Player of the Week was their first baseman, Will Butcher, 9 for 16 over the weekend.
Dang.
Is that good?
Yeah. No, listen to the stat line, guys. This is like video game stuff. 15 RBIs over the weekend. In their first game of the doubleheader, went 4 for 4 with 3 doubles, and then hit a grand slam in the second game of the doubleheader.
Wow.
Yeah, and went 8 for 10 in his last 10 at bats for the weekend. So
Is your son giving you these stats, Marv?
No, I looked that up. I was just on the Summit website and I see those stats and I'm like, somebody needs to buy that guy a beer. He had a heck of a weekend.
Yeah. Either that or offer him an MLB roster spot right now, right?
Yeah. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very, very much so. Incredible. And Troy did we mention who Troy has to start this weekend?
Troy's got Harvard coming down.
Ooh.
And Harvard did not play a baseball game. Their first game is actually going to be against Troy. So they haven't played yet.
That's a tough one for Harvard.
Yeah.
Not going to be easy to stroll in there for that. All right, so we got to the picks officially. As mentioned, we didn't quite pick up on the fact that Coastal was in a tournament to start this year. When you look at the schedule, it shows that they played George Mason 3 straight times. So we did our prediction based on that. I'm still going to go.
You would have been right, Dom.
If they would have played George Mason 3 times, you would have been
right.
That's true. That's true. So I didn't give myself any credit though, because they didn't go 3-0 on the weekend. So 0-3 for me because I thought the Cajuns and Coastal would both sweep their season, not series, I guess, because Coastal wasn't in one. But I did think Georgia Southern would get the best of Maryland. And my tipping point there was the fact that they were hosting down in Statesboro. Seth, you won the week, man. You and Marv were battling there until that last pick.
Yep. Hey, fellas, I'm at 10% on my phone. Let's get these picks in so I make sure I got them.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey,
technical difficulties tonight. Cannot use the computer, so I'm on my phone. Was not quite charged, so I want to make sure I get my picks in.
Oh, yeah, you got it. Well, so we won't reveal our picks just yet because we'll come out with the graphic on the social media channel for that. But we just wanted to go over where everyone stood going into.
Well, I think everybody knew who was going to win to begin with. So there we go.
I knew it wasn't likely to be me. That's why I had to go hard on the Sunbelt side. I swung hard,
We can only hope
at the plate.
Mom or myself win next week, so we do not have to hear next weekend.
Hey, how awesome was it having Austin on, man? He's awesome. I enjoyed that.
That was very cool.
We'll have to make sure he gets his royalties off this video.
Yeah. All the payouts and everything else that we all make.
Checks.
Yeah, absolutely. For anybody who is still tuning in, we do want to say we would love to continue having more players from more teams on.
Absolutely.
Coaches, whoever. If you are part of Sunbelt Baseball, we'd love to talk to you, get your thoughts and feelings, especially as we go through the season. Like you said, that was the most enjoyable part of this and an awesome start to our season as it is here for the show. And anybody else got any closing thoughts before we wrap this up? And, shortly sometime tomorrow, but certainly by early Friday, we will get our picks up officially so everyone can see them before the weekend starts up.
I hope everybody's having as much fun as we are, man. If somebody wants to hop on and give us a little bit of their knowledge, more power to them. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah,
having guests would be great. We don't claim to be experts. If you know something about your team or just belt baseball in general, come on with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Again, part of collegefootballdogs.com, College Baseball Dogs, and part of the Dogs Media Network, presented to you by W Energy. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.
Sunbelt Syndicate.